Otherwise, it father figure. In this case, it would be elder. It could also be some situation that looks.
Hello, everybody out there. Texas Desert Rose here, and got another rewarding interview. I'm really looking forward to. It's been a few years since I've seen Mike, and you guys. I promised to get guests from other places, but Mike is also someone else that I met and still I consider a friend out of Bahrain. And he and I have a mutual, not only acquaintance, but a mutual love-hate relationship, and that's with Bahrain. So I met Mike when I would be out singing, and Mike is a singer also. And we just got to talking, and we have a lot of similarities in our history and also our interest, and our connection in some ways to our military. And welcome, Mike. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for joining me.
It's great to be here.
Uh, so you want to tell everyone where you are broadcasting from, since you don't have any limits about giving your whereabouts these days?
So I am on vacation in Bahrain. I just retired from the military, 26 and a half years.
Woo!
And I'm actually still on vacation. I'm technically still on active duty. I don't actually, my first day of retirement is 1 December. And that is 10 days before my 55th birthday.
That's a pretty good
That was
retirement age
one
in
of
my
my
book.
biggest um one of my biggest accomplishments.
It's huge. And you're literally retiring officially at
Yeah.
54.
Yeah.
That's a good life.
I think so. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I'll just jump right in Tammy style here.
Okay.
I always said when, not if, when I write a book, it's going to be called, but nobody told me. And I have a list of things that I'm like, that's usually my reaction. Nobody told me. I didn't know that was a rule. I didn't know that was a thing. Are you able to list some things, two, three, that you were kind of like, wow, I had no idea that's how that was going to go? Good, bad, or indifferent?
One that comes to mind. Love yourself. And I figured that out by myself. I see too many people try to help others that don't want to be helped. They just take and take and take. My philosophy is, and I learned this all by myself. My
Of course.
philosophy, looking back on it, I wish I would have learned it sooner. I didn't learn it until I was probably in my mid 40s. But the the more you can help yourself, the more you love yourself, and the more you do for yourself, the more you can do others for others down the road.
So it's your way of saying put the oxygen
yeah,
mask on yourself first.
yeah, yeah.
Was it military that taught you that?
I was in the military when I discovered that. I wouldn't really say it was the military per se that taught me that. It was just life experiences.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think it's cliche to say that the hardest lessons are the ones that, I mean, the biggest lessons are the ones that are hardest learned. That's certainly been my experience anyway,
Oh,
like where there's been
you're talking
painful.
to a guy who's made every mistake in the book.
Oh, yeah, I bet I could split
I
it with you.
made every mistake in the book along the way. And I've overcome some stupid moments. I've overcome some stupid decisions
Of
and
course.
uh, a failed marriage.
I'm still standing. So, are there any other than love yourself, which came from, but nobody told me that in
Right.
order to get to that decision, it meant that I had to quit putting everyone before me. Is that
Well,
accurate to say?
at a young age, there's a
Okay.
time to think for others and help others, but the other one is um, don't help people who can't help themselves.
Or not in the place to.
Yeah.
The
If you
reason
can't help
I
yourself, like I'll give you an example.
mm,
You know Bambi, right? Precious.
yeah.
I'll give you an example. So she wanted to. This about 2 years ago. She
Hmm.
comes to me.
Last time I
She
was
does
there,
she.
actually.
Yeah, it was 2.5 years ago. It was I was on vacation. My first year in Germany, I was on vacation, and she has this little side business she has where she cooks food and sells it, right? And
Really good.
all these Filipino people, they all, she makes excellent food.
Amazing.
So she was getting all her food from one of the local grocery stores, and she wanted to um, get start getting food from a vendor. It would save her money and it would save her time. And she needed some money to get that started. And I gave her money. She's like, Mike, I'll pay this back. I'll pay this. I said, Bambi, just go run your business. Don't worry about it.
An
But
investment.
that's somebody, her and I sat down. She had a plan. This is somebody who had a plan. Her and I sat down, and I even told her, I said, I said, this is a good plan. This is going to save you money. And I get it. These people are your friends, but if you really want to ask me, I wouldn't pass those savings on to them. If it comes to 21 or 22 BD, give me 20. That's fine. But I
Which
wouldn't.
everybody, 20 BD is about
Oh,
what, 45?
that $53.
$53. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, there's somebody that had a plan. She had it already laid out. This is somebody I can help. Yeah, there's a friend of mine from high school. I hadn't seen the guy in like 26 years. He contacts me. He has not changed one bit in life. Still cutting corners in life. Still looking for that. That little way to try and get that much ahead. He's still trying. He's 50. Well, he's as old as me. He's 54.
Yeah.
And then he asked me for $2,500. I'm not giving it to you.
There was a time, do you think that you would have and have?
No, no.
I mean, with anybody. I don't mean just with him, but where,
Anybody?
yeah.
Um,
Even if your intuition was telling you not a good risk.
when I was younger, I don't know. No, I don't not I don't think that much money, no, whether I had it or not.
Oh, I think in theory, certainly I can speak for me that I have learned some very expensive and difficult lessons, and some of it had to do with money, but a lot of it
Hmm.
had to do with my heart.
Yeah.
Like I, I have this trait about me that had to be flushed out. Good answer. I mean, a good term for it. Flushed
Hmm.
out where I will believe that you're a good person even if your behavior doesn't determine that for me. I will put that
Right.
aside and I will still
That
believe.
is a great way to put it. Flushing that out because I think we all need to learn the hard way and you
For
know,
sure.
you got to
And
make your
depending,
mistakes.
yeah. And I think without the mistakes, the learning doesn't, I don't know, I may rethink this, but I think the learning doesn't hit as hard. It's not as memorable. And I had to make them
Right.
quite a few times, quite a few
Right.
times. So,
Yeah.
um, would you be willing to share like some of the hardcore lessons that really hit you hard? I'm not saying call anybody out, but just life lessons as far as things that have occurred that have taught you?
So I'll tell you a little story I told my daughter recently. She was going through some hard times, and she was going through um she was separated from her husband, and she was trying to go back to her husband, but still with this guy that she, this it was crazy. And I told her, I said, this is too reminiscent of me when I was about 22. And there was a time I I I used to work at 7-Eleven as a clerk. And there was a girl who I worked with, and um she was married, and we had this little fling. And
A lot of fun until it wasn't.
yeah, it was weird. It was weird, but it got even weirder. This is one of those stories. It's just gonna. It just. It just. It crashed and burned at the end, right? And I'm gonna tell you how it crashed and burned. So at the time, I was there was since I worked at 7-Eleven, I knew the local police, and they all joined this softball league they had, and they let me play softball with them. They
Nice.
would have in the summertime, they'd have their little family cookouts. They'd invite me over. And so at the time, um I'm having this little fling with this married girl, and they kept telling me, you shouldn't do that, don't do that, don't do that, that's nothing but trouble, you need to stay away from that. And of course, being young and dumb, I just and then, as crazy as things got, I get a phone call one day about her sister um is in town. She was married to a guy in the military out at Fort Lewis, Washington. They got separated. She came home. I start screwing around with her, and she had two kids. It was not a good situation. I just kind of just I ignored the flags. I ignored the flags.
Sure.
And it was people are oh, why are you doing this, and they tell you not to do it. They wouldn't tell you why. I had to learn that on my own.
Well, and if you're anything like me, it's like the consequences have to hit before you really learn anyway. Like,
Yeah,
well, I wouldn't say learn, but really listen.
well, let me get to the consequences.
Okay.
So the sister starts staying with me. The first sister, the first one, her name was ironically Tammy also.
Good Lord, I see a pattern here. Too many Tammys.
And she was a Tamara.
I'm a Tamara.
I know. and and she finds out that her sister's living with me. She decides, well, I'm gonna leave my husband, and I'm gonna show up at his apartment. And she's I just left Paul. Now you got to take me in. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. And so we had to sit her down, tell her that, look, we're together. And she started with this, you're cheating on me with my sister, and don't say that, I'm screwing around with you behind Paul's back. That's irrelevant. And it's not. Okay. And it was just craziness. But we had to sit her down, calm her down, and all her husband had to do was not show up to my apartment. And he does. She was about to go back to him. We had her convinced to go back to him. And all of a sudden, he shows up, and he's trying to break into my apartment. So neighbors see this, and they call the police. Well, I know the police. And there was this policeman. He's probably long retired. Should I say his name? I'll just call him Matt.
Good call. You don't want a lawsuit.
He was a real big guy. Well, it's not. This is a compliment on his part, really.
Mm-hmm.
Real big guy, and he comes in. So I see that it's Matt, and there's a couple other guys that I play softball with, and so I come running out. I'm trying to explain, and Matt grabs me by the shirt. And he kept telling me, you need to get rid of those two girls. You'll never go anywhere in life until you get rid of those two girls. He grabs me by the shirt and he pulls me and punches me right in the jaw.
Whoa.
And he says, I told you this was going to come to this. I told you. And it did. I told you, you'll go nowhere with these two girls. Get rid of these two girls. And once the dust settled, by the end of that week, both those girls were out of my life. But here's the part that hit the hardest, and it wasn't even that punch.
Oh, I'm
After
sure the
that,
punch was the easiest part about it.
I never got invited to play softball. I never got invited to any more family functions with them. Nothing.
It's
They saw
the
me as a kind of a dangerous person, right?
it's the rejection that hit you so hard.
It was absolutely 100%.
I could see that. I would have to say the same. Familial abandonment, betrayal has hit the
I don't
hardest.
really feel betrayed by it. I kind of feel like I let them down.
Well, exactly. And there's always the doubt. If you had the information, you knew, but so you had the pieces to put together and the impending shame, like every one of us, if we were to compare every scenario with every person, shame is the common binder. And for you, it was that. I bet you even if we looked at all the life lessons, there was probably some invitation, whether deserved or not, to feel shame. That is the therapist in me talking, but that's usually
Yeah.
what the common is. So,
Well, I think the shame comes from not listening to them because, obviously they knew better. But again, if you're going to tell me don't do this, tell me why.
well, can I just
Here's
give
the
you
consequences you're gonna end up with.
could I just give you a little bit of a benefit of a doubt? That's what I
Sure.
mean by nobody told me is that there's this expectation, in my view, that you come into this world and you're supposed to know all the stuff. And when you don't know
Right.
the stuff, you still get consequences for the stuff. In this
Right.
case, like, I mean, I'm talking if we do this with 4 and 5, 6 year olds, like you're just supposed to know.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, though, what would you say was the turning point to move you in your correct direction, or at least more on that road? Like, what happened after that you're like, okay, we're going to make this work, or did it take a while?
Well, I moved out of that apartment, and unfortunately, I moved back to my grandmother's. I was 22, and
You were out in
and
Philly?
no, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Got it.
Yeah,
Sorry, don't throw something at me.
it's all right. Actually, being in the military, I've had so many. I probably got at least 15 friends from Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
When I hang out with them, I always say I'm from the wrong side of the tracks.
It is a beautiful state. I had no
It
idea.
is.
One of the most
It is.
beautiful I've ever been to.
Yeah. But yeah, after that, I moved in and I started looking for other jobs, and I literally just went job to job to job to job, and it wasn't anything that I wanted to do. It was just the way it happened. And I remember
Pay the
I was
bills.
I was working, yeah, and and some of them did and some of them didn't. But I I was working at a job in Warrendale, PA. There was a guy. First day on the job. I was in. It was a dock work. It was medical supplies warehouse. And my first
Okay.
day on the job, they said, "Hey, you're gonna be teamed with this guy," and his name was Bill. And I said, "Oh, nice to meet you, Bill." And he says, I said, how you doing today?" And he says, "Not good." I said, "Oh, why is that?" And he says, "You know, 20 years ago today, I went in the military. I would be retiring today." That was the day I met him.
He was
And
your angel.
yes, yes, 100%. He he used to tell me these stories in the military. He says, "I got out after 3 years, and he says, if you ever go and stay." So that was always my intention, to stay, based off of what he always told me. I was always in my mind. I wish I could find that guy again. I've tried in the past, and I don't know. I haven't been lucky enough to find him, because I owe that guy a huge thank you.
I have found for myself, Mike, that the little angels who drop nuggets of things to get me back on my path or on my path are not necessarily always meant to be found. They serve their purpose and that's it, you know? So for those of
Yeah,
you who don't know, I'm
I
sure
never
most
thought of
do.
it that way, but that's
It's what it
quite
feels
true.
like to me as you talk. And for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure many do, you know, you can go in for 4 years or
Mhm.
you know all along they're keeping you longer if you choose. And Mike, what you're saying is that you always had the intention once you went in to do career.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So I worked at that job for about 9 or 10 weeks, something like that. And I got called into the office one day, and there's my supervisor. He says, "Look, it's not like we want to get rid of you, but we got to lay you off." He says, and there were three of us in the office, and he says, "You guys can either clock out now, or you can finish your shift and clock out at the end of the day." And
That
I
was your
said,
second angel.
I said, "I'm going to clock out now. I'm going to the Army recruiter. I'm done." And he
Look
says, "Are you
at
serious?"
you.
He says, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, I can't do this anymore." And he says, "Tell you what, clock out for the end of the day. Good luck."
That's nice. That was your second angel, Mike. Now I'm kind of jumping the gun because no pun intended. Because you know, you and I've talked about it, but we haven't said it on here yet. You see your military service as being a blessing to you.
Mm-hmm.
I probably wouldn't be saying here because I do believe that we get guided on our paths. Yet to see it not be the case where
So, oh, go ahead.
no, if you fall too far off, you know, you get guided back on. You know, there are certain
Yeah,
things we're supposed to do while we're on this earth, and I don't care how dark or and dismal that might be. You're going to do it. You're going to do it
yeah,
before you get off this earth plane. That's my experience.
yeah, yeah. I had my father died when I was young,
Like
and so
about
I
what age, do you know?
11.
Okay. Oof, ouch.
Yeah. So I didn't really have that male figure around. So I think that's why I got into a lot of the trouble that I did.
Sure.
And me personally, I think that's important to have two parents in the home. And I came in the army. It wasn't like I was looking for a father figure, but you sit there and you pick um pick people's brains, and ask, get to know their life experiences, and then you find out in the military, well, there's a lot of people that came in the same background I did. This guy overcame this. Let me pick this guy's brain.
Okay.
I had a first sergeant that let's just say I wouldn't trust him with my girlfriend or my wife, but when it came to the military and life experiences, the guy was spot on. He knew his stuff.
I think that was probably true for a lot of the people you stood beside. There's some kind of what I experienced was this ethical duty while serving that doesn't always transfer back at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you mind sharing the places that you've been to? And, up to you how much you share about that stuff. But I would be curious, other than Bahrain, where you've been.
Yeah. So I went to basic training at Fort Sill
Good old
on,
Fort Sill.
yep, on, oh crap, I think I lost you. No, there you go. I got I got there April 24th, 1997.
Interesting.
Yep. And did basic training there, went to Fort Bliss for AIT. I was it was in air defense
Very
on a
familiar.
Bradley crew member.
Mhm.
And
That is about, I would say, Bliss is about 6 hours from me here in San Angelo.
where are you? You're in
San
Houston?
Angelo Goodfellow Air Force Base.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're San Antonio.
San Antonio is about 3 hours from me.
Oh,
This is more
okay.
West Central area.
Oh, okay. 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 Yeah, then I went to Fort Carson, Colorado, 4 years there.
Okay.
And I I was 26 when I went in. I
Okay.
was 26. I was not a young kid.
You were not
And
one of the newbies.
not really. I had already had a lot of life experiences by that point. And and I looked around, the Bradley crew member, that all my squad leaders were all my age. And they all looked like they were in their 40s. They were all beat up. So I knew right there and then I didn't want to do this job. I'll do this job for 4 years. I got a $12,000 signing bonus. That's what I got.
Yeah. Awesome. And now it's probably
Yep.
higher, huh?
Oh, I'm sure it's a lot higher than that now. I don't even know what it is now.
Well, that was a
But
lot of money for you at that time.
that
Did
was
they
that was.
did they pay you in the beginning or you had to finish
So I got
AIT?
7,000 up front, and then I got 1,250 every quarter,
Okay.
which worked out fine for me because then I didn't spend it all at once.
Oh, sure. They were making sure you weren't going to go to captain's mess. For those of you who don't know, that is kind of like the discipline arena, and they don't play. They do not play.
No, they really don't. But yeah, after that I got out. It was a shortage MOS, and they weren't allowing people out of it, and I wanted out of it.
Oh,
Um, so what I came up with was I'm just going to go in the reserves. I went back home to Pittsburgh, went in the reserves as a paralegal, and that's what
interesting.
I deployed. So I was at there's Pittsburgh International Airport right outside. There's an Air Force base, and across the highway from the Air Force base is an Army headquarters unit. It used to be the 99th Regional Readiness Command. It's not now. I forget what it is now, but that's who I worked for, and I did that for 4 years. I actually liked being a paralegal. I actually went to court reporter school.
I was going to say that's the same side of your brain where the business mind functions and the finance. And so, yes, that's totally fitting.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I did that for 4 years, and
That
I
was
had this
pretty
civilian job.
sharp to get out of your MOS. That was pretty sharp.
It was very important to me. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me take a step back, if I may. Um,
Mhm.
Another thing one of the most important things I learned from the military is the importance of making a plan. I would have never made a plan plan. What? I don't know what I'm going to do in 3 years.
Sure.
But you do when you're in the military. You have to.
You have to, and you probably carry it around in your pocket, with the journals and
Well,
everything
I
else.
always had it right here.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I was working at a place called Mine Safety Appliance, MSA, in my hometown, and I was making really good money as a machine operator. We were making M40 masks for the military, and so I got out of the reserves, and then I was working there, and then all of a sudden I got laid off, and um, I just from past experiences when I was a kid, I knew go in the army, just go back. And I'll tell you what, I went in there knowing I have no leverage because I got out. I have no leverage. They're going to take me back and I'm going to be what's considered needs of the army. And they're going to give me what jobs to choose and they're going to tell me where my first duty station is.
A
Whatever
price you were
they
willing
need,
to pay.
I was willing to pay. And lo and behold, I hit the lottery.
I
I
love that.
had no idea going in what was to be expected. And they offered me three jobs: 11 Bravo, which is infantry, 89 Bravo, which was ammunition specialist, or 88 November, which is logistics. And I said, I'll take the 88 November. That's a no brainer. And man, the assignments that I went to, the things that
Amazing.
I've done in logistics, that I'm so proud of some of the things that we were able to do, and the things that I learned, the people I met, everything. I hit the lottery.
Well, it's interesting because in numerology, 88 is abundance and money. And so I would say that's a pretty, it was a good decision for sure.
Yeah. So I came back and I got stationed at Fort Drum, and
Rough.
next thing you know, 6 months later, there I am in Iraq.
Okay.
That
Wow.
was my second deployment. I deployed in 2003 as a paralegal. You want to know what I did as a paralegal? I ran convoys up and down MSR Tampa.
Oh my goodness. Well, Tampa's pretty rough.
It was then.
It's a pretty rough place. Wow.
Yep.
And then Iraq, and that was in 2000, what?
That was 2008 to 2009.
Okay.
Then I um, got stationed in, of all places, Sharm el Sheikh, Egypt. I was
Sharm el-Sheikh,
stationed.
very
I was
familiar.
stationed in a resort.
Well, Sharm el-Sheikh is the resort. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Isn't that the
Yes,
capital?
I was stationed in. This is where I hit the lottery.
Oh,
So I go, I go from Sharm el Sheikh to Fort Story, which is at Virginia Beach. I went from one beach to another. I spent 4 years at Fort Story. I go from Fort Story to Germany, and I did
were
three
you in
years in
Wiesbaden? I
Germany.
can't remember. No, you were in.
No, I was in K Town,
Okay, got it.
Kaiserslautern. Yeah. Then I did 1 year. It's called a Wyeth tasking. It's basically like you apply for different jobs in the army, and these taskings come down, and they say, "Hey, we got this tasking over in Stuttgart." Well, I was working for Special Operations Command Africa, and I did that for a year, and
That's cool.
worked for some fabulous people, and then I called my branch manager, and I said, I'm about 7 months from leaving Germany. I was seeing now my branch manager was my one of my former first sergeants, and he says, I know you're gonna ask about going back to Egypt. He says, I don't have any staff sergeant positions in Egypt. And I said, what else do you got? And he's telling me all these assignments: Fort Hood, Fort Bliss, Fort Campbell. And I'm not ready to go back to the States yet. And he says, well, I'm holding this Bahrain spot for someone. They haven't
Oh my
got back to
God.
me in 10 days. It's yours
What?
if you want it.
What?
You want to talk about hitting the lottery?
And you obviously being active duty, you had already heard because Bahrain has a reputation. For somebody who's
Yes.
outside of that, it would have been a death sentence, they thought.
Right. Right. And I'll tell you as a side note, the death sentence. There was one time I was here when I was stationed here, 2019, and I show up at the Avenues Mall one day. I was going to see a movie or something. I stopped at the pizza place, and I see these guys. They look like they were dressed like you do in basic training, right? And
Hmm.
they're just acting. They have that basic training mentality. Well, here it turns out it's the air defense unit, and I said, "Oh, you guys, the air defense unit." I said, "Oh, this was I think it was a Friday." And I said, "Oh, you guys should have went to brunch. You can got all you can eat, all you can drink. And you guys can check this place out. Check." He says, "Oh, no, no, no." He says, "We can't do that." They were on a 4-hour pass
Only.
on a Friday to get their haircuts and do their little shopping and go to the mall and get it out of their system. That's all they were given. So if I had stayed in air defense, that would have been me. Here I'm
So
living it
let
up in
me,
Bahrain. I had a 3-bedroom apartment in the Sakoon Tower, which is next to where I'm staying right now, and I'm staying by myself in luxury. I had maid service. It was sick.
so let me give an update to
I'm
those who are
telling you,
not
I hit
familiar.
the lottery.
Let me give an update to those who don't know. In Bahrain, Middle East, it is Friday and Saturday is the weekend. Fridays are the Sabbath. And ironically, and what it's known for is, people will go to church, go to mosque, whatever, and then
Mhm.
get dressed and go to brunch. And brunch is not a few eggs. Brunch is, in fact, I don't even know if there's
It's a
food half the
feast.
time, but it's amazing. It includes music. It includes, I mean, like it is the biggest thing. It really is. And Bahrain is known for it. And I call Bahrain in general Las Vegas in a hijab. I mean, like it is like being in Las Vegas and you're only have a 4-hour furlough to get your basic needs done is what Mike is talking about. It's a big frustration not to be able to get out and do anything.
Yeah, especially being in Bahrain.
Yes.
That's got to be annoying.
That's where
Um,
Saudi goes. And to be honest, if you gave me a ticket to Dubai or a ticket to Bahrain, I would take Bahrain.
I'd take
I didn't
Bahrain
like
too.
Dubai as much.
I didn't either. I felt that they were really snooty. They were stuck up.
Well, and part of it is that I don't know about you, but I didn't know anybody. But in Bahrain, you really get to know. It's a small island. In
So
fact,
easy to get to know people here.
it is. And
You don't really have that there in Dubai.
well, and I didn't realize, but the size of Okinawa is similar to Bahrain. And
Okay.
the culture is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's not as easy
Mhm.
to get to know people in that culture. Whereas in Bahrain, English is the primary language. And there's a real, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Mike, but there's a real, for me, there was like a real live and let live. And
Oh yeah.
with
Oh
so many Filipinas, you
yeah.
feel like you're the only person around, you know?
You know, last year I brought my cousin, and he was 70. He just turned 74. So he was
Okay.
73, just turned 73 last year, right after his birthday. I brought him here. And
Nice.
he's got the business mind, and he owns
Go
his
get
own
her if he's
radio
coming.
station. He had his own bar himself, and he's done all kinds of wild things. And he could tell you some stories too.
I'm
Um,
sure.
but he come here and he says, he got to know the people who I talk to, and he says, well, that's why that's why you guys get along so well is because they're lonely, and that's probably they're a lot of these, a lot of the women, they come here to work and send money back home because they may, most of them have kids, and
Right.
they're lonely, they're away from their family.
Responsible.
And here I'm basically alone. When I was up in Germany, I'd come down for long weekends, and it'd be easy to, I'm lonely, you're lonely, and it's not even,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
sexual thing. It's a friendship thing.
Yeah. And such connection.
Yeah,
And it truly feels like real connection. It's not a
it
pretend thing.
really does.
I think that's why you hear so many people say, I miss Bahrain, I miss Bahrain. And I've never had such a love affair with a place in my life.
Neither have I mean,
Um,
I loved Egypt, I did, but nothing
did
like this
you?
place.
Yeah. And I've really analyzed it in my head. Not to mention I do believe there's a certain vibration of that location anyway, but I literally long for that same connection.
Hmm.
For example, going to go sing. Somebody gets up there on the stage and they're singing. I could get up there with them and do harmony with them. Don't try that with American, definitely with a
Yeah.
Texan. It's like we have to have our boundaries and our space, and
I
that's
got up
great.
on stage last night, and I know you know this, okay? I've never been one to attempt uh like real good singers.
Hmm.
I'm not, I'll go up there and I'll just wing it and sing like a Rolling Stones song, or I'll go up there and I'll
Sure. Why
sing.
not, right?
I love to sing. Um, She's Got the Look by Roxette. And find a good singer,
Yeah.
and a great duet. One of my favorite songs of the '80s. Absolutely just a perfect song. And I love to sing that in karaoke or on stage with a band. It doesn't matter to me. I'll go up there and I'll just wail away. But when it comes to like really singing, I so Bon Jovi. I remember, back in the day when we hang out the Happy Goat, a lot of people were singing Bon Jovi songs. There was, like 7 or 8 Bon Jovi songs would be played in one night. I wouldn't touch those at all. Last night, there's a band at the Buffalo Lounge, and I went up there and sang "Crazy Little Thing Called Love," and
Ah, Queen.
I sang "Sweet Home Alabama," and they said, "You want to sing one more?" I said, screw it. Let's sing You Give Love a Bad Name.
I love it.
I
Why
got up
not?
there and
Take some
I
risks.
let it loose. I wish I had it on video. I got the other two on video. I didn't get that one on video. And I just went out there and just did my thing. I'm not really a great singer. I always said I got better. I never got good. But I go up there, I wing it, and I have fun with it. And that's really, You know, you were there in the beginning. You couldn't get me up there.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I love it because there's such an openness and an ability
Yeah.
to make you feel like you're a rock star.
Oh, not really just you're one of us.
Ah,
You come up on stage, now you're one of us. You know?
yeah, I love that. There's just nothing like it.
There isn't.
So you retired, well, you don't officially retire till December 1, but you've been, uh, I forgot the term for it, retired, IRR, whatever, status. What's your overview so far? Because there's a few of us that are looking at what retirement will be like and when and all that stuff. Um, what's it been like for you?
Every day's Saturday.
That can be a little intimidating. I'm
Yes.
an overworker.
I know. And I was too. Let me tell you, I got into this routine. And you were here. Um I get into this routine where, once I got stationed back in Germany again, I started as soon as I got there, August of 22, October, Columbus Day weekend. That's my first weekend back in Bahrain. And I worked my ass off.
Yeah.
Did
Long hours, right?
I did well, I didn't really, it wasn't like an everyday thing. Did I have I worked late on a Friday? Yes. Did I come in on a Saturday morning? Yes. Um did I come
You
in early to get stuff done before, make sure everything was good to go before something was due? Yes. But it wasn't all the time. There were times Mondays were slow. I'm gonna leave at 3 o'clock. But I I just got into that routine where it was work, 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 work. And then I got 4 days. I'm going to Bahrain. And it wasn't like when I would leave, I'd be, oh, I'm gonna miss this place. I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. No, it was, I gotta get back to work. I just got into
Yeah.
that mindset. And then all of a sudden, now it's all over. And
Because you're like
that's
me, you're a routine person.
yeah, it was like that roller coaster. I just kind of went with it, and I just took you know, it's work and then it's play, and it's work and then it's play. And it was that part, I'm sitting here now, I'm playing, and it's it's almost not even as fun as it used to be.
Well, like you and I talked earlier, I said it's a little bit like trying to run away from home and you don't live with your parents anymore. So it's not not as fun, you know. Running away from your own house is not as fun. You get to where you even just want to be at home. In
Yeah,
fact, from the YouTubes I've watched, it's like be careful because it gets really easy to just stay home. And before you know it, like I need the connection, you need the connection, but before you know it, you're not getting it. So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I
So I was originally going to
establishing
be here for
your
90 days.
well, this is still your honeymoon phase of retirement. I
Yeah.
think you
So
will establish
technically,
your own
I'm still
routine.
getting paid by the military, so I still have that steady paycheck coming in, so I can kind of get away
True.
with it.
True. Well, and not even financial. You're okay with that.
Yeah.
It
Oh yeah.
is establishing your own routine. Otherwise, even at your very young age, the research doesn't bode well for not having some kind of structure in your life once you hit retirement.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it
I
doesn't bode well for longevity.
yeah, I've been like I said, I was supposed to be here for 90 days, and they changed the rules. It was I don't know if it was after Ramadan or what, but they always told me, they said you can do a 90-day visa where you can leave and come back.
Wait, they
And it
changed
was only
that?
12 BD. They changed it. You can only do a 30-day visa now.
Oh,
And
interesting. Money
I
talks.
think you can apply online for it, but it's a lot more expensive.
Oh, so it's better to do it on demand when you arrive?
Yeah, you can get it, come in the airport, and now it's 12 BD. It's not 5 BD like it was before. Every 30 days
Sure,
and below was always 5 BD, which is $13. Now it's 12 BD, which is about $30.
$30. So, did you have a hard time boarding a plane
I
or did you
did
use your ID?
because I needed a return flight, and I was going to be here for 90 days originally. And I just said, you know what, screw it. I'll make that flight. I'm actually glad I did, because once I got here, once my retirement party was done and over with, it was like, now what?
So, what you're
And
saying is when you booked the flight, they needed to have assurance that you had a flight back out.
right,
Got it.
right.
Okay.
And um, like I explained to you when we called it, when we talked earlier, um, you know, I put my career above everybody, every relationship, every family member, every wife, every child that I had, all friends. I remember I was, friends of mine, hey, let's go camping this weekend. And then all of a sudden I get called into work, and it's like, I thought we were going camping. Got to go to work.
Right.
You lose a lot of friends when you do that. You lose, and My youngest daughter. I spent my first 2 weeks of vacation with her, and I finally got close to her again, and that was it was really nice. And I think that 30 days here is good, and I go back there, and I'm not going to be up her ass, and she's not going to be up mine, but we're there when she's got her life. She's 24,
You're getting in your
and
comfort zone.
yeah, but I think like I said, things didn't work out here for any kind of investment, and you know what? I'll take my money and go buy it, put a nice down payment on a house, and I'll be close to family and old friends. I right before I left to come here, there was an old friend of mine from high school. I hadn't seen him in 30 years,
Wow.
and we reconnected. And it's like, you know what? We're going to do this again, and it's not going to be in 30 years.
It's amazing how quickly things change. Although you've been
Yeah.
attempting to invest in a business in Bahrain for at least that I know of 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. Yep.
And, serendipitous, I think, because I had my own, it's not working out experiences there. Because I moved there on my own and opened a business in Bahrain. And it's not that it didn't work out, it was more blood, sweat, and tears than I was willing to put in. And I got an opportunity to work on base and took it. But it is the whole idea that when things are not working out, that might be whispers about
Yeah.
that's what I mean by situations guiding you back on to possibly a pathway where you're heading back and reconnecting to home, wherever home is.
Yep.
It's
So
really
when you were in
amazing.
PA, were you ever in Western PA?
I did some National Guard, Army National Guard, purple camps. Have you heard of the purple camps?
I don't think
I
so.
did. They would assign, back in the day with influx, they would fly us out all over the place. This is back when there was a lot more funding and less control of it.
Yeah.
And they sent me to Philly a few times, Hershey, that area.
Okay.
Purple camps being the idea that if you take every branch and mix the colors, it supposedly it makes purple. And kids who had lost parents downrange, there was a camp that I worked out there, and that's where I was just like, two things: most green, beautiful place I had ever been to,
Yeah.
and from Texas, that was saying something. And two,
Hmm.
baked oatmeal changed my life.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Baked oatmeal changed my life.
Oh.
You guys, if you ever get any, it is so amazing. It's what they have for what do you call it for breakfast? You pour milk on it or whatever, but it tastes like a big oatmeal cookie.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, it was good. So yeah, I have. It's beautiful there.
Yeah.
And
There's
my
there's a
favorite movie
town.
is Invincible with Mark Wahlberg. So
Oh yes.
hi,
Yes.
big fan of the Philly area, and I've never even lived there, so I could get killed for saying that here in near Dallas. Just
Oh, I
saying.
know. I know.
So is there, I want to, I would love, Mike, no pressure, to invite you to consider coming back and we can do
Sure.
some deep dives on some stuff. But
Hmm.
um, are there any kind of give an idea, if you don't mind, kind of like where your life is? Yes, you're headed into retirement. It's looking like you're going to um, make a trip back and maybe settle closer to home, reconnect
Yeah.
to family, the ones that you see fit to connect with.
Yep.
Um, Overall, 0 to 10, where would you put your life now?
Is it? I'm sorry. Say that again.
0 to 10, 10 being
Oh,
like it doesn't get any better. Where would you put your life now?
my life. I would say, I can't. I cannot complain one bit. I would say it's a 10. Can it be
Sure
better?
seems like
Yeah,
it.
sure, maybe it could, but from where I came from,
Yeah, and you're making your life happen the way you
yeah,
want it.
I'm doing everything for myself. I didn't, I had family members that ripped off people all their lives and ripped off family members, and you go back to cutting corners, and you know, and their lives are crap.
You're standing on your own
And
2 feet and doing
that's
in
it.
pretty
I
golden
do
boots.
whatever I want. I go wherever I want.
That's beautiful.
That's it.
We should all aspire, and you're standing on your own 2 feet. There's something
Hmm.
to be said for that. Yes, we need each other. We do.
Sure.
But the choice, not the have to.
Yeah.
That is, it's really beautiful. I thank you for sharing your stories and your walk. And I would love to do more of these with you. You're really good about talking and sharing your life openly. That's hard to
I'd love
find.
to do another one. Tell you really where I came from.
Oh, okay. We're going to put it on the books.
Okay.
Now you got me started. I'm not going to let you off the hook. So we got to put it in the books.
Anytime.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. And
Thank
thank
you.
you, everybody, for listening, for joining us. And if you want to reach out to Mike, feel free to shoot me a message. This will be posted on Texas Desert Rose YouTube and Facebook page. You can message me, reach out there, and I'll make sure he gets the message. Okay? You okay with that, Mike?
I am.
Awesome. I hope to see you when I make a trip back out there. Thank you for telling me about the visa
Yeah.
requirements. I need to know that. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. Please like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you. Bye.